And I want to show you something. So this is pretty neat. This is in Psalms 112. And I think sometimes we forget that the songs were like the greatest hits of the day. A lot of them are written by King David. So people were like throwing on the MP3 player and just streaming his music, right? And so think of this as like, Will and Crystal leading the nation of Israel in song. And look at the lyrics in this song, which say, God will come to those who are generous and lend freely. In Christ Fellowship, isn't that what you want? Don't you want to experience the presence of God? Don't you want to be closer to him? That's what we all want. Deep down inside, that's your greatest desire, to know and be known by God, to have that loving connection. And I just want to encourage you. He wants to be known by you, but we have to trust him and take steps. When he calls his disciples, he's like, look, follow me. Then think about the rich young ruler. It's like, man, what you're asking me to do is too hard. And we don't even know this guy's name. Everyone that Jesus said, come follow me to, they were like one of the 12 apostles. So what this person's destiny could have looked like had they just simply taken the faith step of obeying and trusting Jesus. So we don't want to miss out. We want to experience God. Those who conduct their affairs with justice, you want to treat people right, surely the righteous will never be shaken, and they will be remembered forever. See, as I was preparing for this, we'll go back to that verse in a moment. God really challenged me. I got an uncle who's a pastor. He's like, hey, always preach from your weakness. And I'm like, okay, good. I got a lot of material. And Pastor Bruce, like, God really pressed into me when you gave me this assignment. He's like, Riley, like, you need to take some more steps in your generosity. And I'm like, what do you mean, Lord? So I got in my feelings a little bit. I'm like, we just sold everything we had to plant a church in a city that we knew nothing about. Like, I'm Google searching like all the felt needs of our area. I know there are military wear, so I can kind of relate to that experience. But other than that, we knew nothing about the coastal area of Virginia. And so we sold everything. Our house flipped overnight, but it took us 4 months to get a new home. So we were homeless. And I'm a pastor, and I'm giving above and beyond my tithe, and we're serving a ton, and my kids all know Jesus, and I'm reaching lost. I'm like, God, how am I not generous? And this is the place where spirit-led sacrifice comes in. If you ask God, he'll show you what your next step is. Now, you may look at me and you can quickly discern that I like me some Starbucks and I shop at Target. Those are two of my favorite places to frequent. And God actually answered my prayer in a moment on a trip to Target. Maybe you, like me, when you drive to Target and you realize that there is a parking space right up front, you break out in worship. Like, if you don't think he's a wonder-working God, like, come on, somebody, when I get a parking space right up front, I know he moved heaven and hell to be in relationship with me. Like, God spoke to me personally, y'all. Like, I felt that word. And one time I'm pulling up the parking space in Target, and it's right there at my name moment. I see a lady, and she's kind of like eyeing the same parking space, and God tells me, give her the space. And I'm like, for real, Lord? Like, this is generosity? Like, again, it was a small thing, and I'm like, all right. So she's looking at me, and I'm like, and she's like, and I'm like, yeah, girl, go and drive in there. Like, I'll take a lap. Y'all, I kid you not. This lady finds me in Target. Like, I'm recognizable. So she pulls up on me. She's like, thank you so much. I can't believe you did that. And I'm in here, I'm like, a parking space meant the world to this person. What does radical obedience do for people, y'all? When we simply trust God, even in the weird things, even like, really, you want me to do this? It meant the world to her. Not only that, so I shared that with our church, and we decided to do something that we call In the Name of Love, where we do random acts of kindness, and we just drop little cards that says, hey, Jesus loves you, and here's information about our church, right? And that's what we do. And so I did this at Starbucks. So I'm in the drive-thru, and I have one of the In the Name of Love cards. I asked the barista, like, hey, how much is the order of the family behind me? And I paid for it, and I was like, hey, can you give them this card, and I'm gonna keep it moving. So I'm driving. 2 red lights later, this family pulls up on me. It's another lady. She's like honking her horn. I'm like, Lord, please don't let her cuss me out. Like, I hope she doesn't like hate Jesus or anything like that. She is honking her horn, rolls down her window. She says, thank you so much. No one has ever done anything like this for me before. It's wild to see what God does with our radical obedience as we take steps and trust him in generosity.